Hello, hoe gaat het? That's Flemish for how are you? Welcome to Travelling the Know with me, Philip Saunders. Today is stage 4 of my walk along the Belgian coast, and I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to reach the Dutch border. It's going to be, I believe, a feeling of real achievement. But to get there, first of all, we have to join the beach at Blankenberge, pass the very important port of Zeebrugge, and move on to probably the pearl of all seaside resorts in Belgium. That's Knokke. It's often recognised as being the Belgian version of Saint-Tropez. Hard to imagine, but you'll see when we get there. And then onwards through a beautiful nature reserve and the final little bit of coast to reach the Netherlands. So let's get on with it. Just before we go, let's take a look at this beautiful fisherman's cottage, preserved from the 18th century and sometimes open, serving snacks and food and exhibits as well, and a little museum inside, but unfortunately not today. Just to let you know, this is a weekend in late June. We've been going through a heat wave both here in Belgium and back home, the UK, but it's also a Saturday, so this place should get really busy with visitors from all over Belgium, particularly Brussels, during the course of the day. And you can see that all of the clubs here on Blankenbergger Beach are getting ready in resorts like Blankenberge and Heist, which is just before Knokke, and Knokke itself. There are plenty of clubs and plenty of activities for people of all ages as well. The Belgian coast in season has something for everyone. Look at the price of ice cream these days. Is this more expensive in the UK or about the same? Certainly a lot more than a couple of years ago. You can already feel there's a lot more people around. Onwards. First objective for the day is the Blankenberge or Blankenbergger pier, which I think, if my memory serves me right, is the only major pier we've seen along the Belgian coast. This does feel a bit like being in either Bournemouth or Brighton. What a stupendous view of the entire seafront here at Blankenberge. One important observation: I've looked at a number of restaurants and they all seem to be significantly cheaper here than any other resort I've seen so far. And now we leave Blankenberge behind us. Next stop, Zeebrugge. Just look at how much sand there is all the way to the sea. Plenty of beach to thoroughly enjoy. This section of the walk between Blankenberge and Zeebrugge has definitely been the toughest for me so far. I think probably because I've done 3 days walking well over 20 miles each day, so on the 4th day I'm beginning to feel it. But also this was a really wide beach and the sand is very soft in places, all heavy, which made me feel like a horse at the race course. Really, it makes it that much more difficult. So I'm very glad to be arriving in Zeebrugge, and I think I'll be able to walk along the road for quite a few kilometres here as we go past the port. Again, there's some beautiful pieces of art to accompany us. All of these sculptures that we get to see along the Belgian coast are thanks to an art festival called the Beaufort Festival, which I believe takes place every 3 years, and various art pieces are basically placed along the coastline as part of an exhibition. But then the great thing is that most or all of them become permanent exhibits, and certainly there's a wide range of artistic talent on display. These steps really are a sight for sore eyes, and not only that, it is scorching hot. I found a spot just to take a break here at Zeebrugge and explain why this place is so important to me in my journey of travel discovery. Coming from Ipswich as a young child, we would often go to Felixstowe, and I would peer over the North Sea from about the age of 3, saying, I want to go on the other side and find out what's there. If you go in a straight line, you get to the Netherlands, but turn right slightly and you're in Belgium. As I got older, pretty much all of our summer holidays started in Zeebrugge. We would take the Townsend Thoresen ferry from Felixstowe to Zeebrugge, and they carried imaginative names like the Viking Voyager, the Viking Viscount, and we would sleep in a cabin overnight. And I always remember when we came off the ramp, this is the building we would first see, and I felt so excited to be on the European mainland. This is something which has stayed with me ever since. I also held my birthday party on a Townsend Thoresen ship at the age of 18. We were so drunk we fell through people's cabins, which we didn't have ourselves, and then went on to celebrate in Bruges. It's also closely linked to travel in the know and my own personal saying of always travelling, never arriving, because that's how I feel, and I'm still discovering all sorts of things here along the Belgian coast. Whenever I googled Zeebrugge, the first thing that comes up is the ferry disaster. And that was when the Townsend Thoresen MS Herald of Free Enterprise sank just outside of the Zeebrugge harbour on March the 6th, 1987, tragically resulting in the deaths of 193 people. Now you have to imagine that as a child I had collected every timetable, every piece of information I could about Townsend Thoresen, and I'd retained all of our family's ferry tickets as well. It was like a member of the family. So even though I was at university and 20 years old, it was a huge shock. It reminded me, of course, or it made me more aware of the fact that travel is also not without risk. And as a result, I suppose that the romance of travel faded slightly, but at the same time the good common sense of making sure that wherever you are in the world, that you look after yourself. Because if you do, and if you plan and you know where you're going and what any potential dangers are, you should be able to enjoy just about anywhere without too much incident. Now you know how my love affair with travel started, here at Zeebrugge Beach. Zeebrugge is an interesting mishmash of a place, really. It's a very nice seaside resort, but most significantly, of course, it is a really important port. Basically, it reaches out like two arms in an embrace, but it's a huge scale and a huge engineering feat. The port was originally built between 1896 and 1907, and at the same time as a canal to link it to Bruges. King Leopold II formally opened the port in July 1907, but then from 1972 to 1985, major extension works were carried out, including the construction of the outer port. We lost a good amount of time on this, which we're going to have to make up. I think I was here for about 45 minutes, but it was certainly interesting. My legs can't take much more. It is a lot to walk in 4 days, and today I think it's actually a little bit less than the other days, but my feet don't feel like it and my head doesn't. I've just stopped off at Knokke's tourism office to get a little bit of advice about getting to the border. I need to find the energy and also the motivation to do these final 3.5 miles, and I'm not even sure I can get quite to the border with the Netherlands. But I know I certainly can't get to the Netherlands because there's water in between the Belgian side and the Dutch side. The purpose of this trip was to get from the French-Belgian border to the Belgian-Dutch border, and I'll be darned if I'm going to be beaten, but this is tough. So let me rest for a few minutes and then we're going to crack on with the walk. At last, mission accomplished. This is the Belgian-Dutch border, or rather I'm at the top of a dune with all sorts of dangers of slipping down it, so I'm not going to do that. There are warning signs everywhere, and I reckon I'm 250 metres from the actual border point. But you can clearly see the Netherlands behind me. So as far as I'm concerned, job done, mission accomplished. I feel absolutely fantastic. If only that were the end of the walk. Now we've got to go back to Knokke. Of course, the last piece of art on the Belgian side of the border. And then this is a national natural park shared by both Belgium and the Netherlands. The Belgians call it the Birds International Airport of Europe because it's so important for migratory birds. And then there in the background you can clearly see the countryside and then indeed the seaside of the Netherlands. Now that we're in super smart Knokke, even the beach huts seem to be arranged in better order. And also, as you can see, there are lots of super smart clubs all the way up and down the coast here. If my wife were here, this is where we would have spent the day bathing and enjoying some cocktails, rather than doing stupid things like walking mile after mile after mile. This is the Knokke waterfront on a Saturday evening, just past 7 o'clock. It's still boiling hot, and the sun is still, trust me, beating down. I suppose that's because we're in June and it's the longest days of the year. The restaurant's beginning to get busy, and also the boardwalks as well. I've decided to try a Belgian fast food restaurant. I say restaurant because it's reasonably pricey. It's called Friedate, and it's on the main drag in Knokke. And in Belgium, apart from high fine cuisine, there are also lots of places called frituur, which specialise in Belgian fries and a whole range of Belgian specialities that go with that. And I'm going to try one as well, which is called stoofvlees, which is a typical Flemish stew type of mix of meat, and that comes with the national pride fries, along with mayonnaise, and of course I've got a Stella Artois beer to go with that. There we go, Stella, and all of that costs €20, which I think is pretty fair. Well, we'll see what it tastes like and how long we have to wait. They give you one of these, and then as soon as the food is ready, I'll be beeped. I've gone and picked up my food, and the first thing you have to say is it's definitely not fast food. It took 20 minutes from the moment I ordered it to the time it's ready. Now, I'm sure that's partly because the restaurant is, half full, and it is a weekend, but still, it's supposed to be fast food. That's the principle, so you'd like it to be relatively quick. What is amazing though, considering the price as well, is this is the meat stew, and this is a real Belgian favourite, stoofvlees. I'm sure I pronounced it incorrectly, but is it stoofvlees? That's right. Okay, good. I got it right, so that's excellent. And then look at this. I asked did I want a small portion of fries, so I said medium. This isn't even large, so heaven knows what a large portion looks like, but it is absolutely ginormous. Now, I haven't got that long, so I'm going to have to start eating and see how things goes, because as it's taken so long, it's not that long until my tram comes. And of course, you can't have fries in Belgium without a little pot of mayonnaise. Fries are good, but you'd expect that in Belgium. It's the national speciality above all others. The French make loads of jokes about how the Belgians love fries, and these ones are obviously not like English chips, they're much thinner, but they have a lovely taste, very hot, well fried, go well with mayonnaise, and the outside is reasonably crunchy. Some of them are softer, but Belgian fries are great. And if you wander around outside in a Belgian town near a frituur, you'll also enjoy the smells of fries wafting over the entire town centre. This is a very nice stew. Very tender beef meat and a very rich sauce, which I suspect has got some Belgian beer in it as well. And the meat, you've both got good chunks of meat, but obviously because of the way it's cooked as well, and this is typical, I know, of stoofvlees, you've got almost like pulled beef, and it is rich. This is very good. So I'm going to give the fries, actually, I think somewhere between silver and gold. They're very nice, but they're not the best I've had in Belgium. And the stew definitely gets a gold medal because it's delicious. And Belgian beer, always welcome. So I'm going to get on with eating it now and hopefully catch my tram. And now I'm sitting on the tram in Knokke, about to go back to Blankenburgger, and this goes all the way to De Panne. The route is some 67 kilometres long, that's 42 miles, and that makes it the longest tram journey anywhere in the world. And not only that, it's the second longest light rail service in the world after the A line of the Los Angeles Metro. So there you go. I've been walking all the way from France to the Dutch border, but I've needed to get back to my base Blankenberge all the time, and this is super convenient. Doesn't matter what distance you travel, you pay a flat fare of €3, and you can do that with your phone or bank card when you actually get on board the tram, so it couldn't be easier. However, don't make the mistake I did, which was buying the first ticket on the Belgian Railways website, SNCB. They offer you the opportunity, they tell you the exact timing, and then they charge you for a one-way ticket €13.60, so make sure you get it right first time. But it's a fantastic system. It's very clean, it's very prompt and super efficient, and it's also great fun. Kids must absolutely love it if they've not been on it. And you can spend plenty of time on it because the journey from Knokke to Tram in the south takes well over 2.5 hours in total, and I think there's something like 67 stations, so plenty of choice. But I've really enjoyed it over the last 4 or 5 days, and it makes part of the journey to the Belgian coast so much fun. And here we are on day 4 in the evening, back where it all started at Blankenburgger. And I hope I've not been too miserable, because I've been in some pain all this walking, walking from France to the Netherlands along the entire Belgian coast, over 160,000 steps. I think that's well over 80 miles. So it has been a challenge, but I hope I've stayed cheerful. For me, it's fulfilling the dream of a lifetime. Might sound odd, but I wanted to do this for years. And it's reminded me of all the beautiful, unexpected things that you discover when you undertake travel in this way and decide just to walk and walk and see what comes. I hope you've enjoyed some of the beaches, some of the scenery, some of the people, some of the food, and of course some of the adventures that we've had together as well. If so, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and ding that bell for notifications. And as they say in Flemish, tot straks. See you very soon on this channel, and thank you for watching this hugely exciting adventure, for me at least.